So we think we want sex. More often than not, well, I shouldn't say more often than not. It's not about sex, but sometimes it's not about sex. See, sometimes we crave sex because we're craving something else. And we look at sex as a gateway. We look at it as a gateway to deepened intimacy, to satisfying those fundamental human needs that we have and that we crave: to be seen, to be witnessed, to be heard, understood, appreciated, respected, accepted for who we are. And we sometimes confuse sex as a gateway to deepened intimacy. Now, sex is amazing. Physiologically, we're driven by it. Fertilization-driven sex embedded within our genome tells us that when we have sex, we're satisfying the extension of humanity. We're procreating, we're ensuring the survival of our species. And there's something else that's deeply embedded within us as well, and that is bonding behavior. This need to be close to each other, to be intimate. And sometimes, and we live in a very strange society. We live in this society that is hypersexualized, yet hyposexualized as well. It's like we live in this society that there's unconscious expressions of sexuality everywhere. Media, billboards, there's seduction and elusiveness, but not too much. But then we don't speak about sex in a healthy way. We're not educated with sex either. And so we become confused as people when it comes to sexuality and our own sexual expression. And so sometimes growing up in a society that has twisted morality or twisted understanding around sexuality, where it's not expressed healthily, where it's not celebrated fully, where it's almost has to leak out and is compressed into the shadows, we develop sometimes either pathologies or a misunderstanding, or we develop this lack of deep connection to self. And so we look to sex as something that is a short-term gratification, something that appeases us, eases our pain, eases that feeling of not being able to be vulnerable, not being able to be real, not being able to express, be able to be ourselves. And so we look for this being seen in our sexuality. We validate ourselves through our sexuality. We validate ourselves through sex, through the narrative of the more people I can have sex with, the more variety I have, the better person I am, the more fulfilled I feel, the more meaning in my life, another notch on the belt. There's nothing wrong with having sex with as many people as you want. It's actually a really beautiful thing. If you're coming from a healthy place and it's not coming from a leaking shadow expression of self, yearning to be desired and seeking that through immediate short-term gratification, but consistently feeling empty. And so sometimes this sex can be a gateway to something else, but we stay on repeat. The neural grooves in our brain are just begin to become hardwired for that. And so we need more of it. More dopamine, more stimulus, more sex. But is it sex that we really want, or is it something else? Now, I can't tell you that, but maybe you can begin to think about that. Feel into your own trauma bonding, your own wounds, your own personal experiences, and ask yourself, why am I craving or being who I'm being? Is it coming from a healthy place or an unhealthy